Okay, so the Philadelphia Eagles offseason is heating up and the NFL isn't ready, as some recent Birds news has seemingly revealed their big offseason plans, which features a few key free agents re-signing with Philly and one star veteran possibly staying as well. Plus, on top of that, A.J. Brown just essentially recruited Myles Garrett to Philly, while he also gave a strong endorsement of the Birds' new offensive coordinator. And one-star offensive lineman just got offseason surgery after his heroic Super Bowl effort. So we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And obviously, the big story of this past week has been the Birds' hiring of Kevin Patullo to be their next offensive coordinator, in a move that has fans split, with some applauding the hire, while others aren't exactly the biggest fan of it. Now, personally, I wasn't thrilled with it at first either, but after doing more research, I can safely say that this hire has definitely grown on me. So let me explain why, and we'll start with some more details provided by Eagles reporter Jeff McLane, as in a lengthy tweet, he noted that a big reason that Patullo got the job is because he had a lot of internal support from not just Nick Sirianni, but also assistant coaches, staffers, and most importantly, Eagles players. And one of those guys in A.J. Brown just gave a very strong endorsement of the Patullo hire, as in an appearance on NFL Network's The Insiders, he said, quote, "For our fans, they need to understand everything has to change. I know we just won, but it has to change. We have to get better, and we have to do things different. But I truly feel like it's a great hire. He already has been involved in almost everything. Him, Kellen, and Nick basically called the plays already, so it's a great hire, and he's already familiar with us. We have a great relationship, and he knows what we need to work on because he's been there, and he's been there for a while, and like I said, he's already been a part of all the situations and the conversations and everything, so I think it's a great hire." So those are certainly some very encouraging words for Eagles fans to hear coming from their top pass catcher, and AJ made multiple good points there and echoed multiple things that Jeff McLane actually said in his tweet as well, being that Patullo has been a big part of the Eagles play calling process over the past 4 seasons, so it's not like it's something that's going to be completely 100% new to him. Plus, he's also obviously been a big part of things here for 4 years, so he's already very familiar with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense as a whole. And on an even better note, McLane actually revealed that the Eagles offensive scheme and terminology are expected to stay the same under Patullo as it was under Kellen Moore this year, meaning that not only will there not be a lot of change, but they'll also continue to utilize the positive things that Moore brought to the offense, like motion, for example. And the Birds' latest hire after Patullo only makes that more true, as they brought in Frazier to be the passing game coordinator, who, if you don't know, spent time with both Sirianni and Patullo in Indy, and eventually became the interim offensive coordinator and play caller there in 2022 after Frank Reich was fired mid-season. And from there, he went to Carolina for another stint under Reich, before spending this past season with the Dolphins as an offensive assistant, meaning he got a pretty good taste of the Mike McDaniel offense, which of course features a lot of motion. So, although he doesn't have the most decorated career, I'm definitely a fan of the hire because he's seemingly well respected around the league, and I do like what he could potentially bring to this offense. But now, getting back to Patullo, obviously one of the other big worries with him is that he's just going to be a carbon copy of Nick Sirianni, and the offense is just going to go right back to how it was in 2023. However, that's simply not the case, as Patullo himself told Eagles reporter Zack Baun that he and Nick actually often don't see things the same way at all, and in fact, one of his roles on the staff these past 4 years, according to Nick himself, is to call out the head coach when he's, quote, acting like an a-hole. So I think it's safe to say that Patullo isn't afraid of Sirianni, and he's not going to just blindly listen to everything that he says. So really, what I'm getting at with all this info is that I think ultimately we are going to be just fine with Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator. Now, as far as the Eagles' open QB coach position goes, right now we really don't know too much, but a couple names to watch out for, according to Anthony DeBona, could be Frank Reich, who of course used to be the offensive coordinator here and has a strong connection with Nick Sirianni from their time together in Indy, and also Mike McCoy, who, like Reich, used to be a head coach as well as an OC and a QB coach and has strong ties with Nick Sirianni too. So again, we'll see how that plays out, but those are just a couple names to keep your eye on. But now, moving on to some of the bigger news from yesterday, we switch our focus to Eagles center Cam Jurgens, who, after playing through a back injury in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, has now wound up getting surgery to fix it, as Adam Schefter reported that Cam officially got surgery in LA on Tuesday to alleviate some nerve pain in his back, but he's expected to make a full recovery before training camp in July, so that's definitely good that he's not going to miss any significant time, and obviously, hopefully, Cam has a quick and smooth recovery. But man, can we just give a shout out to this man Cam Jurgens for what he did just battling through that injury in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl? As like Eagles Fans Central on Twitter pointed out, if you didn't know, nerve pain in your back can just be absolutely debilitating. So the fact that Cam went out there and played through that and was pushing on these big 300-pound defensive linemen and played at a high level at that is just so freaking crazy to me. And he really did truly put his well-being on the line to play in those final 2 games. So again, shout out to him for battling like the absolute warrior he is, and hopefully he gets rewarded this offseason with a big contract extension. Speaking of which, that's just one move that could clear some significant cap space for the Birds this offseason, as Thomas R. Peterson put together this list showing that if the Eagles were to extend Jurgens while also extending or restructuring Dallas Goedert's contract, cutting James Bradberry with the post-June 1st designation, and also restructuring Lane Johnson's contract, that could clear up an additional $15 million in cap space and get the Birds up to a total of $36 million, which is pretty significant. So I would expect the Birds to go ahead and at least try to do all those things, because all these moves are very realistic, and doing so would give the Eagles a lot more room to bring back some of their top free agents while also signing a few new guys as well. And on that note, we also did get some big free agency news this past week for the Eagles, as Adam Schefter was on 97.5 The Fanatic just a couple days ago, where he gave us some insight on the Birds' big 4 free agents. And let's start off with the 2 guys on the defensive line in Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, as Schefter said, quote, "Milton Williams sounds like a guy that's going to get paid, sounds like a guy that's going to leave. Josh Sweat sounds like a guy that's going to get paid and going to leave." So really, as much as this sucks, it really isn't too much of a surprise. I mean, as I've talked about before, Sweat literally changed agents right before the Super Bowl, citing the fact that free agency was, quote, the biggest moment of his life. So if that doesn't sound like a guy trying to get paid big money, then I don't know what does. And then you also got Milton Williams, who also said recently that getting a big pay raise is something that's very important to him, and he's undoubtedly going to be offered more money by other teams than the Eagles can afford. So really, the only way that both of these guys can stay is if they're willing to take a big discount, and like Schefter said, it doesn't seem like that's what's going to happen. Moving on though, Adam Schefter did give us much more positive updates on the other 2 guys, and we'll start with Mekhi Becton, who it sounds like could actually be somebody that does take a discount to stay in Philly. As Schefter said, quote, "Mekhi Becton found a home in Philadelphia, and he chose to go to Philadelphia in large part because he believed that Jeff Stoutland would help rebuild his career, and that's exactly what happened. Now he can go out and seek greener pastures elsewhere, or he and the Eagles could work out a fair deal where he could continue to thrive. So I think Mekhi Becton is going to be inclined to stay." And then Schefter elaborated even further, saying, quote, "Now, could there be a team out there that throws silly money at him and makes it a moot point? Absolutely, that's what free agency is about, but I think he's smart enough after what he went through in New York and what he went through in Philadelphia this year to recognize, you know what, this is pretty good, I'm in a great spot with a great line and a great coach, let's continue this. I might not get quite as much as I might in another city, but it's going to be more valuable and beneficial for me to be here, so I think there's a real chance that he winds up staying." So obviously, that's great news, and I think Schefter makes a great point there. I mean, for someone who has gone through what Becton did in New York, being considered a first-round bust and just not ever living up to the potential he had, to now having revived his career and really finding a home in Philadelphia, he's undoubtedly super grateful, and I feel like he would be inclined to stay, not only because he loves it here in Philly, but also because it is a situation where he knows he would continue to thrive moving forward. Now, SpotTrack is projecting Becton to be worth a deal of 4 years for about $40 million, so around $10 million a season, and that honestly isn't too much. So I feel like based on that and with what Schefter said, there's a pretty good chance that the Eagles are going to be able to work out a deal to keep Becton in Philly for years to come, and at pretty good value too. But now, moving over to the last member of the Big Four free agents in Zack Baun, Schefter gave a pretty positive update regarding him too, as he said, quote, "Zack Baun is a guy I would think they're going to work to re-sign and bring back because they saw how valuable he is, and the question is there a team out there that's going to pay him considerably more than the Eagles are willing to?" So again, I'd say that's a pretty positive update from Schefter, although it's definitely not unexpected either. As heading into the offseason, I think everybody knew that re-signing Baun was going to be the Birds' #1 priority in free agency, just with how incredible of a year he had, and here Schefter's pretty much confirming that. Now, he did pose the question of what if some team were to come along and offer Baun much more than what the Eagles are offering, would he go for that? Obviously, we don't know the answer, but I do have a hard time imagining that, similarly to Becton, Baun wouldn't take into consideration what coming to Philadelphia did for him and his career, and he also clearly has a ton of love for this city and this team. Plus, when it comes to actual numbers for Baun's contract, it doesn't seem like he's going to get the same kind of lucrative deal that some of the other top linebackers have gotten, simply because when those guys such as Roquan Smith and Fred Warner signed their contracts, not only did they have multiple years of high-level play under their belt, but they were also younger than Baun is now, as the Bald Eagle is 28 and will turn 29 during the 2025 NFL season. So when comparing contracts, look for Baun to get something closer to what guys like Foye Oluokun and Zaire Franklin got, which both currently are on about 3-year, $30 million deals. Now personally, I think Baun might actually get a little more than that, but still, it seems like whatever contract he does end up signing is going to be for pretty good value, which in my opinion makes it even more likely that the Birds will in fact be able to bring him back when free agency begins in March. But now, switching over to a guy who may not be a free agent, but there's still a lot of uncertainty about his future in Philadelphia, we look at Darius Slay, who has a potential out on his contract this year and a dead cap hit of $22 million. So there's just absolutely no chance that he's going to play out that final year of his current contract, meaning going forward, there's several options, as the Eagles could either just let him go and Slay can find a new team for what he says is going to be the final year of his career, or the Eagles can find a way to restructure Slay's deal and bring him back for one last ride. Now, Slay himself weighed in on this a couple days ago when he went on the St. Brown Brothers podcast, as he revealed that there's only 2 places that he wants to play for his last season, with Philadelphia being atop that list.
I got one more left, but you know what I'm saying? You know how that works. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so whatever they want to do, you know, I might re-sign back, hopefully. You know, if I ain't, then we'll see what we're doing, because I do want to play one more year for sure, though.
One more year? Okay.
Yeah, one more year for sure.
You like Detroit, you said, huh?
Oh, I love Detroit. I got nothing but love. That's my second home.
Right.
For sure, the 2 spots I would love to always be at is either Philly or Eagles. I mean, Philly or Eagles. So, main 2.
Personally, as much as I really do like Kelee Ringo and think he can eventually become a good player, plus I do understand that he can't just continue to wait on the bench forever, I mean, Slay is just on a different level, and I think it'd just be wrong to say that I don't want him to play for this team next year. I mean, the guy just had an incredible season, probably one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a corner his age in NFL history, and if the Eagles could find a way to restructure his deal and bring him back for one last ride, then I'm 100% all for it, because I think that only makes the Eagles defense a lot better. And obviously, we're trying to repeat and win another Super Bowl, so the more help we can get, the better. But I mean, overall, free agency in this offseason is just about to be completely crazy. Heck, you even have A.J. Brown on a podcast saying that he'd love for the Eagles to go get Myles Garrett, essentially recruiting him to come to Philly.
You never answered me, though. Any free agency want? You feel me? What is it looking like? Money don't matter. You could bring anybody on your team.
An unlimited salary cap is off.
Honestly, that's what it be feeling like over here. I'll say Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett.
Oh my God.
Adding him with Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith.
Now, I'm not going to get too much into all the Myles Garrett stuff because I did so in my last video, but to keep it short, obviously, that'd just be amazing. It'd make the Eagles' defensive line absolutely unstoppable with Garrett joining forces with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. And this also is a real possibility now with the salary cap rising this year and also set to rise significantly more in the future, and with Garrett making it clear that he'd love to be an Eagle. But crazy trade scenarios aside, as long as the Eagles can just get Zack Baun back, along with hopefully Becton and maybe Darius Slay, then that's not only a massive win for the Birds, but the rest of the NFL should be terrified, because they would then be running it back with the exact same offense personnel-wise, and on defense, they do have the pieces already to supplement losing Sweat, Milton, and even Slay, plus you know they're likely going to find a way to get some real impact players in the draft. So Eagles fans, buckle up, because it's going to be an exciting offseason, and you guys already know that I'm going to be covering it all here on this channel in the form of videos, live streams, and other stuff. So if you guys don't want to miss any of that, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, and also drop a like on this video to show some support. See if we can get to 700 likes today, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. Who do you think the Eagles are going to bring back in free agency? Do you think Darius Slay is coming back? Just let me know all your opinions. And also, if you want to watch another video going over the Kevin Patullo hire and also the Myles Garrett situation, then you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.